Alright, what's going on YouTube? This is BoxingWave. I've been thinking of making a series of videos on how to fix boxing. Okay. I haven't put too much thought into it. I haven't made any preparation for it, or I haven't done anything as far as how I'm gonna make these videos or anything like that. But I will make them. Okay, and this is just one video of many soon to come. Okay, now if you've been subscribed to me for a while, you would notice that the volume of videos has decreased on my channel dramatically. Okay, I make a video here and there. I don't really make too many videos anymore because I'm just not happy with the sport. I'm not happy. I mean, I'm busy. I do have a busy life, but at the same time, I don't want to put too much work and effort into something that's not working for me. Okay, it's just not working for me, and as far as I'm concerned, it's not working for many of the fans in general. The fans are just not happy. Okay, the boxers are happy because they're making their money without having to fight the best fighters. Okay, and people will, people that make YouTube channels like myself or journalists or whatever, they will write and they'll show their own biases or reasons why boxing is failing, and everyone will have their own opinion. And I'm not saying any of those opinions are right or wrong, but in most cases, people are biased towards the networks that they like, or the promoters that they like, or the fighters that they like, or the race of the boxer that they like or dislike. All of these things. Okay, and I just don't have the energy to keep doing videos. I see the emails, I see the tweets, I see the messages and I see the comments you guys leave and request on videos you want me to do, and it's like, well, this fight is just like another fight I just spoke on, and it's, I look at the channels on here, and most of the channels are pretty much angry in every single video that they do, and I don't want to ever get to that point. I'd rather just not watch it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, I haven't been watching boxing that much. I really haven't. Basketball season is about to begin. Football season is just started. Okay, there's other things that I do watch that I'm starting to go back to watching more, even UFC. I used to do UFC videos when I started this channel, but when I started the channel, I slowed down with the MMA because I was trying to focus solely on boxing, okay, which is my favorite sport, which is like my first love. But I've been watching more MMA, more and more MMA, and at some point I might get comfortable enough to start doing videos on MMA again, because I'm starting to watch it a lot more now. I'm going back to watch it. I used to watch it back in the day when UFC first started. But I slowed down once this channel came on the last few years. I've been more of a casual MMA fan. But boxing lately is just a mess, and it's consistent. We get a bad fight here, we get a good fight here, but lately it's just been more bad fight after bad fight. It's just a bunch of, and it's becoming predictable, and I don't want to be involved and put work and effort and time into something that is failing, because boxing is failing from all ends. This is not a video about defending HBO while bashing the PBC, or bashing HBO while defending the PBC. It's not going to be one of those videos. I never do those videos because all of them are failing, in my opinion. All of them. All of these boxing, like all, and and honestly, that's the main problem with boxing, and this is why I don't think it can be fixed. Because the people that are involved in the sport are making money, and they want to keep making money. Okay, they want to keep it going for themselves because they have to take care of themselves. They have a family to take care of themselves. Okay, this is why you have so many organizations. Okay, so many titles and so many things that it's just too many hands involved. It's too many people involved. There's too many chiefs, not enough Indians involved. You have a boxer that wants to fight, but the promoter doesn't want to fight. You have the promoter that wants to fight, but the network doesn't want to fight, you know, or the organization that won't sanction a fight. You have so many things involved when it comes to boxing. You know, I like to compare boxing and the UFC. Notice I said the UFC, I didn't say MMA. But when comparing the UFC to boxing, there's not one superior than the other. No. But what I like to compare them to is iPhones to Androids, or even better, PCs to Macs. You know, not that one is superior, it's just that they work differently. You know, and when it comes to boxing is like the Android, because you have so many things. If you know phones, you know that Androids, you can modify them. Okay, when it comes to Androids, you don't have to have it from a one single phone company like Samsung. You know, you have an Android from Samsung to HTC to Nexus to Google. You know, you have all these different phones. You can modify them in all these different ways. You know, you can do whatever you want. Whereas when it comes to iPhones, it's just Apple and their iPhone. That's it. You know, and it works extremely well with other Apple products, but it's all Apple. Okay, and that's the UFC. And that's why the UFC is working, because it's just the UFC. You know, it's the most popular MMA by far organizations. Yes, there's other organizations, but the UFC is, to most people, MMA. You know, to most people. And there's a lot of people who are diehard MMA fans that don't really watch MMA outside of the UFC. You know, so I like to compare the phones to how a boxer is structured, because boxing, you have all these organizations, you have all these titles, you got all these, you know, promoters. You gotta have to, you know, if one promoter don't like another promoter, a fight doesn't happen, which is ridiculous. You know, where in the UFC, it's just like, hey, we have a top 10, you're the champion, you fight the number one guy, and you beat the number one guy, you gotta fight the next number one guy, the very next fight. There's no, you know, you gotta get a couple tune-ups and nothing like, no, there's no ducking. In fact, if Dana White feels that you're afraid of somebody, he's gonna put you in the ring with them. You know, so I'm not saying that UFC or MMA is better, but I think it's just structured. The way it's structured is better, because you have to fight the next best guy. You have to keep fighting the best. You have to. There's no ways around it. Only because you have injuries, of course you have people failing drugs, tests, same as boxing, but it's not. It's structured a totally different way. Okay, there's so many loopholes in boxing, because boxing has been around for so long. You know, it's been around for over 100 years. So there's so many loopholes with the sport, whereas UFC and MMA is more of a newer, younger sport, and they have a chance to capitalize and watch the mistakes that's made in the sport of boxing. You know what I'm saying? But you know, I don't want to get too much into that. Just wanted to speak on that briefly, because I brought up UFC because it is a new sport. It's a combat sport, and only because people are leaving the sport of boxing to become UFC fans, you know, or MMA fans, you know. You know, I was just looking at the news. Like I said, I didn't prepare for none of this. I didn't prepare. I'm just speaking off the top. But I'm looking at the news, and you know, I had just did a video on Canelo and I'm sorry, not Canelo, but on Brook and Golovkin. You know, and you know, the videos being well received. You know, thank you for, you know, all the support y'all show me. You know, I do read the comments and the emails. But what I would say is, you know, I read on Boxing Scene today, and I see that HBO has a huge interest in making Brook and Canelo happen, you know, for Cinco de Mayo, you know, and I said that in my video, you know, I said that this fight with Kell Brook and Triple G made Kell Brook's stock rise. His stock is up, and now they're already pushing to get this fight next year, you know, and I said this was gonna happen. I said it was gonna happen. Boxing is very, very predictable at this point. Because they're gonna take a fight and make it seem like it's the fight, the big fight, and the fans will jump right on it. And we'll go right into an argument soon. There are gonna be videos of people arguing whether or not this is a good fight, whether it's not a good fight, who's gonna win. They go right into it, and then we all completely forget that, wait a minute, this is not what we wanted. Just because Brook did a decent job against Golovkin in the few rounds that they fought, this is not what we wanted to see, but it was very predictable because that's just the way boxing is today. This is not a desired fight. I'm not saying it's a bad fight, but this is not the fight we want to see. We want to see Canelo fight the big, the top guys at 154, if not fighting Golovkin at 160. If not that fight, we want to see Canelo fight the guys at 154, but we're not getting that. Kell Brook fights decent against Golovkin, and now the other guy that should be fighting him is going to fight a common opponent and try to look better against that fighter. This is what boxing has turned into, and that's not just HBO, right? It's not just Showtime. It's not just PBC. It's all of them are doing it. All of them are doing it. All of it is very predictable. And I said this. I predicted this. I wouldn't be surprised if Canelo fought Brook next. I just said this. Because that's how it works today. This is how it works. I hear that Danny Garcia is fighting what's his name? John Molina. Okay? For what? I'm not going to make a video ranting on it. I'm not going to do another video where I'm ranting on it, another fight. Because I knew Danny Garcia was looking for something easy. You know why? Because I saw a video of him saying, well, if a middleweight is fighting a welterweight, I better not hear anyone complain about any of my fights again. And now these guys are motivated. More and more boxers are becoming motivated to take easy fights for a good amount of money. It might not be the millions that they want, but it's safer to say, all right, well, you know what? If I'm getting $750,000 to fight this guy that's not good, that I'm guaranteed to win, why not? Why turn it down? Regardless of what the fans want, we know the fans want me to fight Thurman or Porter or any other top welterweight, or Pacquiao or whoever, Adrian Broner. We already know what the fans want, but the boxer's looking at it like, well, if they're gonna pay me this amount of money, I might as well do it. And the thing is, the fans are gonna watch it anyway. And I've done it too. I fell victim of doing it too. I don't do it so much anymore. I'm not doing it so much. I'm not watching Liam Smith against Canelo. I'm not even watching it, period. I'm not even watching it when it's free. I'm not gonna watch it. I'm not supporting that. And I have to start really boycotting because I see what they're doing. More and more boxers are doing it. Look at Cotto. Why is he fighting Lamont Peterson? Why? Lamont Peterson just went up to 147. He just went to 147. Now I understand he comes in fighting around in the 160s. So technically he is a little bit bigger than Cotto, or at least around the same size. Alright, but Lamont Peterson had one fight at 147. Most people thought he lost to the Dominican kid. And now Cotto's might be fighting him. It's like, what's going on? And I heard about the Cotto and Gamboa thing. It's like, I'm sure there had to be some kind of truth to it for the rumor to come out. But that's what they do now. They throw it out there to see the reaction first, and then they say, all right, well, if the reaction is too bad, we won't do it. And that goes back to Danny Garcia. I thought he was going to fight Berto. I mean, it's not a fight that I really want to see because I know the outcome, but it would have been a good scrap. But see, these boxers are getting used to fighting guys like Bertos, the Guerreros, the guys that were in a ring with a big name or were champions in the past. And they're fighting these guys with names when it's not really the competitiveness in the fight. It's not a desire to fight. You know, it's not people sitting home like, oh, I want to see Danny fight Andre Bordeaux. No. They're doing it in a way where it's like, you know what? It's a solid fight to where people won't complain about it, but it's not the fight that people desire to see neither. But the John Molina thing is just like, you know, it's like, why? You know, why? You know why? Because John Molina beat Provodnikov, a guy that used to be relevant. And now it's like, well, he beat Provodnikov, so let me fight him. No, Provodnikov is not good anymore. He's not good anymore. You know? But once a fighter get a good win, they are back in the mix. You know? And it's becoming very, very predictable. It's becoming very predictable, man. The PBC is failing to me. It's failing to me. I'm not going to sit here and support them. You know, just because it's free doesn't mean that we have to get shit quality fights. I understand that it's free, but I'm willing to pay for it if it's good. If you want to make me pay for it, I will pay for it. I want quality. If I have to pay for quality, then I'll pay for quality. But this not just make bad fights because it's free, it's on television. No, let's not do it. You know? Let's not do it. Let's not do that. Because you're taking away from the quality of the sport when it's continuous. You're giving, you're giving us fight consistently, fights that we don't want to see or we don't desire continuously. You know, fight after fight. You know, and HBO is a victim of this too. HBO is a victim of it, you know. I mean, and you know, Kell Brook, the thing with him is at this point, he's a household name now. Just for doing a solid job against Triple G, he's a household name, just like that, overnight. Because that's why it was smart for him to take the fight. It was very smart for him to do it. He's getting big money, and now he's going to have a pay-per-view with Canelo. Why fight Errol Spence? Why? It doesn't make sense for him to fight Errol Spence at this point. Because the fighters in the upper weights can use him. They can use him to have some kind of credibility. And that's what Canelo is doing now. You know? Well, I'm going to fight him and beat him better than Triple G beat him. Because everybody, apparently, people thought that was a fight that was stolen from Kell Brook because the towel was thrown. And now, instead of getting a rematch, well, now Canelo is fighting. You know what? The same people that thought Kell Brook was winning that fight, okay, they shouldn't be mad that Canelo's going to fight him because that means Kell Brook is a top fighter if he were to do, since he did that good against Golovkin. I'm not saying he didn't do good. He did a great job. Listen, he landed an uppercut that lifted Golovkin off the ground. Okay, dude did a great job for the amount of time that it was there, but I'm not convinced that he was going to win that fight if the towel wasn't thrown in. No. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but you know, I already spoke on that in the video. I said, listen, you know, there's a chance that Golovkin might have punched himself out in that 5th round. And the 6th round, you know, Kell Brook might have came back, but we won't never know. You know, I don't think Kell Brook was winning the fight. You know, I think Triple G had a lousy fight. You know, I thought he came into the fight the wrong way, the wrong strategy. I think he should have had more respect for Kell Brook like he did against Lemieux. And the fight would have went differently, in my opinion. You know? But, you know, I want to get too off track. You know, the sport, you know, it's just overall, and it's always, you know, we like to stress the welterweight division a lot because in the welterweight division we had Pacquiao, we had Floyd, you know, but you have too many. There's other divisions too, you know. It's just. I'm glad that Kovalev and Andre Ward are fighting. I'm glad, but do you guys realize that Adonis Stevenson and Sergey Kovalev never fought. Never fought. These two have been champions for years now. And they never fought each other. They never fought. You know? At one point, they were on the same network. They fought on the same card. And they never fought. That's sad. This would have never happened in this UFC. It would have never happened. Unfortunately, Floyd Mayweather, great businessman, great fighter, you know, one of the best to ever do it, if not the best, one of the best to ever do it. He inspired a lot of fighters, okay? Especially from a business standpoint. But the problem with that is a lot of guys want to be him without actually putting in the work that he had to put in. You know, a lot of guys are taking shortcuts to try to remain undefeated without taking the risks that Floyd had to take. You know, a lot of these welterweights are avoiding fighters, you know, and they want to keep collecting wins. This is why the commentators, and when they're promoting these fights in the commercials, they say that they're defending their undefeated record. You know, it's all about being undefeated now. Like, that is the biggest marketing tool in boxing today. You know, outside of being a title or a paper champ or whatever, being undefeated is clearly one of the best marketing tools in boxing. You know, and because since Floyd retired, he retired being undefeated, it helped him make that amount of money so many times over, because people wanted to see him lose for the first time, and people kept paying and paying and paying. So to watch him lose, hopefully lose for the first time, he became the bad guy after De La Hoya, and it was a great marketing plan for Floyd Mayweather. You know, on top of him being so flamboyant and having a mouth to be able to sell fights, him being undefeated was a part of the plan. And you got guys like younger guys like, you know, Danny Garcia, who has fought good fights, but once they fought a fight like a Matisse fight, like the Matisse fight, it seems like after he fought that fight, it was like, all right, let's just cruise now. Let's go into cruise control. We'll pick up a good fight here and there, but for the most part, we're gonna try to fight guys with names over talent. It's been names over talent. Not to diss Andre Berto, but even if he had fought Andre Berto, still a better fight than John Molina by far, of course, but still not the fight that any fan has had desired to see. You know, it's a solid fight at most. You know, and these are what these guys are doing now, and it's more than just Danny Garcia. But I just think he's a perfect example, because he actually said it. Like, you know, if a middleweight is fighting a welterweight, don't complain about me. You know, and Floyd, you know, I didn't like everyone he fought, but for a guy that fought only twice a year, at least one of those fighters was someone I wanted to see, if not both. At least one of them out of the two fighters he fight each year was someone that I absolutely wanted to see him fight. And every once in a while, it was even a guy that I didn't think he would fight. You know, I didn't think he would fight Shane Mosley. I didn't think that he would fight Canelo Alvarez. You know, and I didn't even think he would fight Manny Pacquiao in my lifetime. You know, because not all because of him, but just because all the bullshit that was going on with that fight with Bob Arum and, you know, the networks and all that stuff. So I didn't think that fight was going to happen. So Floyd gave us good fights. He didn't always give us the fights that we wanted to see, but for the most part, he gave me fights that I wanted to see. You know, I didn't want to see Guerrero. You know, I didn't want to see Ortiz. But I did, you know, I was cool with the Marquez fight as his comeback fight. I was cool with the Hatton fight. I was cool with the Shane Mosley fight. I was cool with the Canelo fight. I was cool with the Pacquiao fight. You know, Wasn't so cool with the Maidana fight, but the fight ended up being good fights, But we're just not getting the fights on paper anymore. We just don't get them anymore. Some fights end up being good, like Kell Brook against Triple G. It ended up being a good fight, but it wasn't a desired fight. Just like in the UFC. UFC 200 came on. UFC 200 wasn't that good. On paper, these are some of the best matchups you can get in UFC. But the pay-per-view itself was alright. It was okay. It was a lot of dominant fights. It's not their fault. They made the fight that we wanted to see. That's what their job is supposed to do. This is what the promoters and the boxers and the next networks are supposed to do. Give us the fights that we want to see. Okay? Manny Pacquiao against Jesse Vargas. I seen people make videos. I didn't make a video. See, these are all videos that I did not do. Okay? These are all videos. I see the reaction. I seen what happened with HBO and what they did. They was about to drop him and they didn't make a pay-per-view. Listen, they're making a stance, but they got to stay consistent, man. They got to stay consistent because I don't have desire to see the fight, but it's not a bad fight. Jesse Vargas looked really good. He looked strong against Saddam Ali, man. I thought Jesse was going to win the fight, but I didn't think he would stop Saddam Ali, I like Saddam Ali. I didn't think he was going to stop him, And he hurt Bradley really, really bad in that last round, in a fight that I thought, I had Bradley winning the fight pretty much like 8-4 or whatever, but he almost knocked him out. And it was the ref's fault. We don't know what would have happened if the ref let it continue. We don't know, So I give the guy the benefit of the doubt. It's not a fight that I think there are better fights out there, but I don't think Jesse Vargas is a bad fighter. I don't think people should complain about it like the way that they are complaining about it. At least it's not a Marquez 5. At least it's not a Tim Bradley 4. Jesse Vargas has stepped up since the 140 days when he was getting into close fights with guys that's not so good. And they were talking about setting up a Pacquiao-Jesse Vargas fight back then. Because remember, the Jesse Vargas-Pacquiao thing has been looming for like a good at least 2 to 3 years. At least 3 years, maybe even 3 years. It's been looming for a while now, and it's like Jesse Vargas wasn't even that good when they started talking about that fight back then. So I don't think it's that bad of a fight. Do I think it's pay-per-view worthy? Nah, it's not pay-per-view worthy, but it is Manny Pacquiao. But Manny Pacquiao's not as big as what he used to be, A lot of people got turned off by the Floyd Mayweather fight. Or, what he said about gays and animals, A lot of people have been turned on by him. He just doesn't have the same kind of spark he had a couple years back. He doesn't have it anymore. But is the fight bad itself? No. This is better than Canelo and Liam Smith. It's better than Triple G on paper. It's better than Triple G against Kell Brook. It's better than Danny Garcia versus John Molina. It's even better than Danny Garcia against Kell Brook. I'm sorry. Danny Garcia versus Andre Berto. Nah, they're about to say it. Let me not go too far. I don't want to go too far. But not a great fight, but not a solid bad fight. But anyway, I just think there's too many things to really put in one video on what needs to be fixed in boxing. The fans, though, have to play their part. I subscribe to HBO and Showtime, and you know what? If I specifically subscribed to them for boxing, I probably would have unsubscribed to them by now. But I do watch a lot of TV series on the show. Showtime, I watch Ray Donovan. HBO, I watch, Game of Thrones. I watch Ballers. I watch other shows. And then I watch the movies. I watch that. And then I get boxing with it, too. But if it wasn't for that, I probably want to at least unsubscribe to one of them, because why to pay the money? You know, I mean, PPC is free, but it hasn't been that good. It hasn't been that good lately, you know? You can't give us a bunch of, you know, and there's some good fights. Okay, there are some good fights. It seems like the good fights are the unnamed guys. That's the problem, too. The unnamed up-and-coming fighters are not getting the recognition, you know, and that's part of the fans' fault too, because there's people like me that should be talking more about these up-and-coming fights. You know, and I have. It's not like I haven't. I've talked about the fighters that people don't really know that well. I have, but overall, the fans should do it, because, you know, it's good to support these younger guys that are taking the tougher fights. But the problem is, once they get there, they just stop. They shut down. Once they get to the mainstream, they shut down. You know, and they start saying, oh, you know, I don't want to fight this guy. I don't want to fight this guy. I don't want to fight this guy. You know, that's what's happening with the welterweights now. Like, you know, like Keith Thurman. Keith Thurman, that was the boogeyman until what's his name? What's this kid name? Errol Spence became the boogeyman. You know, and now Keith Thurman is not looking like one time. Not saying that he's not still top fighters in welterweight division, but he doesn't have that same aura that he had before. Now, people don't look at him like a knockout guy, where now he has to work on his boxing ability to win fights. It has to be his boxing ability to win fights. It's not his knockout power, because he's been fighting good fighters and not knocking them out. You know, now Errol Spence is the knockout guy. You know, and it seems like no one really wants to fight him unless they're forced to. All right. There's a lot more that I want to discuss, but I'm gonna keep it there for now. I'm gonna make more videos, and I'm gonna try to come up with, you know, a better structured way of doing a video, and talk about different other things too. You know, this is kind of more like an introduction. Things that's happening recently that has made me do this. I think this year is really, really bad. You know, I think this year has just been consistently bad when it comes to the fights that we're getting, the matchups that we're getting. The matchups suck, you know, and it's going into 2017. I see already. You know, it's not what we want to get, and everyone's making all kinds of excuses. You know, guys are waiting for fighters to look bad to want to get in the ring with them. You know, look at the Triple G situation recently. Now everybody wants to fight him. All the guys that didn't want to fight him want to fight him now. They had to wait. They're either waiting until a fighter looks bad or gets too old, or instead of fighting that specific fighter, they're fighting a common opponent and trying to look better against the common opponent instead of fighting him himself. And they're trying to be claimed the best based on what they did against another fighter. Canelo's like, look, you didn't even fight Lara. He's saying to Triple G, you didn't even fight Lara. Well, you didn't fight Golovkin when you had the opportunity twice. Okay? So, this is what we're getting now. We're getting everything. It's all about the politics. The politics, the business is important. I'm not saying it's not. It's always been. Alright? They gotta make sense. It gotta make sense. It gotta make money. We understand that. But with that being said, we gotta get the quality too. Because NBA is free. NFL is free. All of that is on prime time. And guess what? I'm guaranteed to see the teams play that I want to see play. You know, I'm guaranteeing these games. We know the schedule up front. In the beginning of the season, we know the schedule. Okay? We know the schedule in these other sports. You know, and even in the UFC, it's free. A lot of it is free. Yeah, they have pay-per-views, but they have free cards shown on television before the pay-per-views. We get more free cards throughout the week. We already were getting free fights. on Spike, on Fox, on the UFC. We were already getting what the PBC is offering us, but the quality of the fights were better. Okay? And we were getting championship fights. We were already getting that. So this is where UFC already has a lead over boxing, because the PBC just started, but the PBC is doing the same thing that HBO and Showtime and whatever, you know, they're all doing the same thing. You know, they're protecting their fighters first and making them loads of money without having to have to really fight the best. That wouldn't happen in the UFC. You know, and people say, oh, well, the boxers make more money. That's becoming less true every year, because UFC fighters are starting to make a lot of money, you know, and not even the superstars. I'm talking about some of the top fighters at each, you know, they're getting over $500,000 per fight. That's very similar to what boxers are getting paid. They're getting over $500,000, between $500,000 to $1 million for championship fights for guys that's not mega popular, not superstars. But it's becoming less and less true that boxers are making more, you know. So I'll leave that more on another video. But anyway, that's my video. You know, I'll make more in the future. You guys leave your comments if you disagree. Any points that you want to bring up about what needs to be fixed. I'm not gonna do videos on just stupid fights. That's gonna make, you know what? Because then I'll be promoting a bad fight by talking about it. I don't even want to talk about it. I'm not gonna watch it, and I'm not gonna even talk about it. Expect me to do videos on Andre Ward against Sergey Kovalev. If you haven't seen my recent videos on that, make sure you check them out. But I will do videos on that, because that's a fight you deserves to get promotion, and you know, people should pay to go out and see that fight. You know, but other than that, you know, and other few fights, I'm not gonna do videos on bad fights. I'm just not gonna do it. It's not worth my time. All right. So make sure you guys subscribe, leave comments, like, dislike, and I'll check you on the next one. All right. Peace.